Talent, nature versus nurture. There are two main ways that have been argued on how talent is acquired that we will look at today. These two ways are either talent is innate or talent is nurtured. Also, seeing how far the innate talent alone can get somebody in a particular sport. Howe et al. In 1998 articulated that it is widely assumed that the innate talent that makes it possible for an individual to excel can be detected in early childhood. However, he also argued that a consequence of the belief that innate gifts are preconditioned for high achievement is that young people who are not identified as having innate talents in a particular domain are likely to be denied the help and encouragement they would need to attain high level of competence. Also, Stuart Wilkinson stated, which is why it is crucial that coaches don't make a firm stance on whether talent can be identified at a young age, as it limits the potential for future athletes to become successful. Brophy and Good 1973 also highlighted that children's progress can be affected negatively as well as positively by adults' expectations. Also, whether that particular child is worth the adult planning extra training or not depends on that adult's perception of talent, and if it is natural or if they can nurture the child into becoming an outstanding athlete. However, our current understanding of the relative contributions of genetic and environmental factors suggests that a significant portion of a variation among individuals can be accounted by heritability, said by Baker et al. In 2003. For instance, research from the Heritage Family Study has linked genetic factors to physical characteristics such as heart rate and blood pressure found by Wilmore et al. In 2001, as well as measures of aerobic performance found by Precious et al. In 2001. Meaning that in order for someone to become outstanding in a sporting domain, there are obvious biological advantages that are inherited from parents that can give someone more of an advantage over another. But perhaps more importantly, these findings suggest that a level of improvement due to training, i.e. trainability, is constrained by genetic factors. Lewington 2000 uses the metaphor of the empty bucket to describe this approach to the relative contributions of genes and environment on development. Specifically, that genes determine the size of the bucket while the environment determines the contents, which was highlighted by Baker et al. In 2003. Going back to 1869, Sir Francis Galton proposed that training can only enhance an individual's mental as well as physical capacity to a certain predetermined degree. According to him, nature sets the limit on the maximum performance that can be achieved through training. But what sort of training are they referencing? Well, we now know that the training in which Sir Francis Galton was highlighting can be perceived as deliberate practice, which is a model developed by ERICSSON et al. In 1993 and was previously mentioned in my video on early specialization. Also, in that video, we highlighted Baker 2003's description of deliberate practice as effortful practice that lacks inherent enjoyment, done with the sole purpose of improving current levels of performance. One model of this, developed by Baker et al. In 2003, was the 10,000 hours theory. This is the idea that in order to become an expert or a professional at just about anything, it takes roughly 10,000 hours or 10 years of 20 hours a week of deliberate practice. However, Bailey and Collins 2013 articulated that some studies have empirically refuted the 10,000 hours rule. In fact, relatively few studies have shown 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to be a prerequisite for expert performance in sport. They also highlighted that on the contrary, expert performance in sports where peak performance generally occurs after the age of 20 has often been achieved with 3,000 to 4,000 hours of sport-specific training, i.e. deliberate practice, which was evidenced from Côté et al. In 2007. Therefore, taking a side on this argument is far more difficult than expected, and there is a plethora of supporting evidence that back either side and many variables that can affect them. In relation to the argument of nature versus nurture, I feel it is up to you that based on the evidence provided to decide where you stand. Or, like me, you feel that for someone to truly become successful, they need to possess both some innate traits for the specific field and need to undergo some great amount of practice to develop further skills.